Hi, welcome to our bi-weekly Skype meeting broadcast. My name's Sean Wilson. I am a technical marketing manager for Skype for Business. I am joined here by my colleague, Paul Cannon.
Hi, everybody. Paul Cannon here, and I sit on the same team as Sean, and I look after client-side stuff, and one of those clients just might be the Mac client.
Really? You know, I would have to say that I think it has been the most sought-after topic.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Of any of our communities. I don't think I've ever seen as many responses in Yammer as I have with just from posting this today. So it'll be interesting to see how many people tuned in for our presentation.
Yeah, I expect more than a few will join us.
Yeah, excellent. So just to kind of give you a little insight to kind of what we're going to kind of walk through today, why don't you give us a little background? But before we do that, just let you know we do have Q&A Manager up and running. Typically, we have Q&A Manager in Bing Pulse. We decided we're going to go with Q&A Manager because we really want to be able to glean some of those questions. We've already got our first question, which we obviously will address in a little bit.
We will.
But Paul, why don't you give us a little background on what we're going to talk about today and what we can look forward to?
Yeah, that sounds great, Sean. So today we're going to try to keep it lean and tight, and I've got a very straight setup for you. We're going to walk through some slides. Now, I'll be honest, you have seen these before if you watched our broadcast in the past, but I just want to reiterate what the plan is for everybody who's new, as well as show you that we are on target as what we had planned. We are now executing on it. After we get through those slides, we've got a special guest for you. We didn't pay to fly him in from North Carolina, but we have him in North Carolina, and he will join us on the video, as well as we also plan then to do, and this is the part you want to wait for, demonstration of the Mac.
Wait a second. You're actually going to demo actual code.
Oh, my God.
Here on our Skype broadcast?
What you're going to see is very likely, not 100%, but very likely when we get to the day of preview, the build I'm showing you today will likely be that build. So let's take a look at what we've got for features inside of that build, and then you guys will know what will be landing on the day of preview.
Excellent. So why don't we kick in, and I'll share some slides and you can talk us through it.
Yeah, that sounds great, Sean. Okay, and poor Sean, I'm making it hard as I can, but I left the transitions in, but he'll set it up for me like I always like it. Thank you, Sean. So let's talk about it. So as you guys know, back in late 2011, early 2012, we released Link for Mac 2011. And at the time, that was our state-of-the-art client for Link, and has, in fact, even today continues to service Skype for Business. That being said, we know there have been some challenges with that client. You know, we're just being
very transparent. We understand that the evolution is necessary,
right,
and we're doing what we can.
Yep. So last year, we decided that it was beyond time, and it was time for us to update and get the right branding and get all the latest features in it. So the engineering team assembled together and began building that client. And so our drive around this is a few things. One, it's a new code base. So we didn't just pick up Link for Mac 2011 and then update a few JavaScripts or something like that. This is all brand new code being built by our engineers, which is really exciting. And quality, Sean, is super important on this release because we got a lot of feedback about Link for Mac 2011. We want to make sure that we do that. So every decision we make, and even when you meet our special guest today, he will talk about how quality affects every decision he makes during the Mac preview process. And so that's really important.
Let me ask you a couple questions about quality.
Sure.
Obviously, quality is a priority. We heard feedback from Link for Mac 2011. What was it that drove it so different than our other conversations that going forward with Mac was such an important thing for quality?
Yeah, you know, the challenge was we had some interesting problems with the Mac client, and we fixed a lot of them. If you have the latest release, we keep updating it every 3 to 6 months. But one of the challenges we did see was around meeting joins, for instance. Sometimes people had some challenges. Sometimes there were issues around sharing, for instance. And so all these things. And the problem really is, I think the real challenge is that as an IT admin, you are responsible not just for the hard stuff of getting servers running or getting the cloud set up and having the clients there, but also helping users use the product. And when you've got one product that looks so different than the other product,
totally,
it just makes the training, the whole thing. I mean, you're an IT pro in the past.
Yeah.
You totally know this problem.
I do, which is actually kind of goes back to our core philosophy of moving from Link to Skype for Business all up, right, is regardless of whatever platform we're on, we have that familiar user interface, regardless of if I'm on an Android phone or a soon-to-be Mac client or Windows client. I have that similar look and feel and user experience, and that's really important because as IT pros, and my background being an IT pro, it was very easy for me to deal with the bits and the bytes and setting up services and running service improvement programs from the service level. It was very difficult for me to work from a user level and change management and helping them with all those things. So it's really important, and quality is the one thing, quality especially at a client level, that can earn or help you lose trust with your users.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And I think talking about earn and lose trust, I just want to thank everyone for sticking through all this. I know you've been waiting a while, and so we're super excited. Part of that, I'm not going to read everything off to you, but and in fact, those last two bullets I think are interesting. But our special guest will talk about this, but we'll talk a little bit about our public preview and our regular cadence, right? And like I said, you just remember that the Link for Mac client will still be available during this process. And in fact, you'll be able to run them side by side initially for the first release. So
yeah, that's paramount, right? Like if you think about it, running side by side, you've got your Link Mac 2011, and you're going to see a little bit more about what we mean and why that's important in just a minute. But being able to make sure that you can do comparisons, you can also do your preparation for user experiences,
right? And
truly to get us that true core feedback that we need, because feedback is paramount to that second bullet.
That's right.
Right? If we don't get your feedback, and we know that this audience is extremely vocal about feedback for Mac and specific, and not shy, exactly. So
absolutely.
Excellent. So
yeah, just the way we love it. Okay, if you go to the next slide for me, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, so real quick, here is our release timeline for the previews. Now, I'm going to say it again and again, timing is subject to actual performance. In other words, when we are meeting our high bar for quality, we can move faster. And when we are not meeting our high bar for quality, we slow it down on purpose. And that is something you should accept as part of this preview process. So preview 1, we're using the technical term RSN, real soon now. We're very
is that
close.
A technical time?
Yeah, that's very technical. You haven't heard that before? Or?
I haven't, actually. I haven't.
So we're getting really close, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this update. We can't share the date yet, but we're closer than last week, and we're closer than 2 weeks ago. So when that one drops, and by the way, our special guest is one of those people who have a lot of effect on when that day is, so I'll give you his email address at the end. You can send him all the messages you want. There also is 2 following up previews, and we'll cover all what's going to happen in those. And roughly, each preview will follow 4 to 6 weeks afterwards, depending again on that quality bar, with an eventual release of the client in Q3.
Excellent. Hey, did you bring those blocks?
I did not bring those blocks after you gave them to me. That is embarrassing.
Well, I think I actually found these blocks.
If you're wondering if this video is well scripted or really well planned, you have just found out once again what's going to happen. So we've got some blocks, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think Sean wants to do the block.
No, I think you're going to do the blocks. Okay. We're going to go to video so you can see this, because this is important to understand what these 3 public drops mean.
Yeah, and why don't you go to the next slide while we do that?
Okay,
because the next slide they won't be able to see it. That's
well,
okay.
we could do that. We'll let them see this real quick.
Okay.
And just so you can kind of walk through, why don't you walk them through this and then show them after what that really means?
Okay. So that's great. So really, here is our release roadmap, and these are highlights, right, to give you an idea of what's going on. So this first drop, and the capitals are really important. So we're going to have a drop for meetings. That means on the day of preview, whenever that is, and we begin rolling that client out, it will have meetings functionality, and you'll see what I am. And I left some of the items. This is not a complete list, but just some of the things that will turn up in that first drop, right?
Yeah.
And then, like we talked about, there will be a second drop, and that drop will include people and messaging, and classic things like IM and things like that.
And also contact list, right?
Yeah, and also contact list. That's right. Okay. And then drop 3 will have calling and voice as well. And then after that, we'll go to RTM, where we have our full first release and all that. And then we'll see we'll have regular updates afterwards.
So let's show them a little bit about what that means, because we said we're going to drop meetings, then we're going to do people and messaging, and we're going to do calling and voice. But does that mean that I've now got 3 clients when I get those 3 drops?
Excellent question. So on the day of preview, the first thing you're going to get, and sorry, we use advanced graphics here, and in this case, it's a Lego block. And so what we're showing here is this is like the meetings drop. And so inside this will be the meetings. On drop 2, when we add people and messaging and the contact list, we will add that functionality. So your client will then have both meetings and people and messaging. And then on drop 3, what will happen is we'll add telephony, right? And telephony gets added to this stack. And now we have a client that will have all 3 pieces. And then finally, there'll be a 4th piece where we'll be at release. And so I know this is kind of silly, but this is really important. We have found, and our special guest has given us feedback, that we have found that some people are a little confused by our drop process for this release.
Yeah.
And he'll talk a little bit about why we chose to do it this way. But this is really going to be a great way for you to get access to the client fast and for us to get feedback even faster.
And one of the things to kind of talk to this, because I could tell you, coming from the experience of being an IT pro, having to roll out, having to test, at Microsoft, we dog food, right? And we've talked about this on our show. Dog food is early release. We eat our own dog food. We try we use our products sooner. One of the things, though, that's important when we take a look at this is if we truly nail meetings, then we can move to people and messaging.
That's right.
And then once we nail that, we move to calling and voice. However, if we give everybody everything, right, you don't nail all 3 of those. What you do is you get a smattering of information across the board. And so it's also very similar to how people would manage a rollout. They would typically use either a persona or a region, or specifically they'll start with IM presence. In this case, we understand that the biggest bang for the buck is meetings, right? Which is why we want to start with that.
No, that's truly a great IT pro insight, right? When you guys do rollouts, and Sean's completely right, you'll choose a way to partition the rollout, typically, like you said, geography maybe. In this case, as we do our rollout, we're partitioning based on features and feature sets. And so that makes it a little easier for you guys to focus on parts of the client, and that allows us to get super directed feedback. So great observation, Sean.
Excellent. So I'm going to show the highlight roadmap again, because I know that people are going to want to see this, so that what we've just talked about.
Right.
What's the next thing to talk about?
Well, let's take a look. I think we're going to talk a little bit of how customers get involved. Now, initially I had a slide, but then we hunted down our special guest and we asked him to join us. So we're going to bring him into the flow here. And so I want to welcome Kaushal Mehta to our IT Pro broadcast. Hey, Kaushal, how you doing?
Thanks, Paul. Good. How are you guys?
We are good. Hey, so this is definitely an East Coast, West Coast.
That's right.
Broadcast. He's in our Raleigh office, and Kaushal is very involved with our preview program. And so, Kaushal, why don't you give us a little quick background and fill us in?
Sure. Yeah, and I do have a proof that I'm in North Carolina. I have the allergy mask that Paul asked not show on the demo. Thanks, guys. My name is Kaushal Mehta. I'm a program manager with Skype Business Engineering team and responsible for quality by working with customers through our preview programs, formerly referred as TAP.
Great.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's great. And so so you're focused on the Mac client. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how our preview program will work. I gave a little bit of information, but maybe you are literally the man with your hands on the spigot, so to speak. You're going to control the flow and everything else. So maybe you can walk us through a little bit of that.
Absolutely, yeah. So firstly, to answer your question on why we did meetings experience first and then people and messaging, it was a conscious decision. The main reason behind that is if we do IM and presence first, then we have to give the users an option to completely uninstall Link for Mac, which means they have to use a very limited client in the beginning. Providing them with the meetings experience at the beginning allows them to do side-by-side with Link for Mac, and then as we keep adding features, we can ask the users or customers to uninstall Link for Mac and just use the new Mac experience. Also, while we were doing this, we actually spent almost 4 months clearing out the quality issues with the Link for Mac, and we believe the 14.3.3 update for Link for Mac 2011 is way better. So it should give you a good experience while you are helping us validate the new Mac client.
Excellent. Very quick question, and I want to actually call out quickly just what we were talking about, which was the reason that we went with meetings versus why we went with IM and presence, because that side by side really goes back to what we were talking about, and the fact that we've put the forethought into how we're going to do preview on this so that we don't impact your users, right? We don't want to take away their current functionality they're using in their Link for Mac 2011.
That's right.
Early on.
Absolutely.
So, our goal is always quality as well as making sure our users stay productive. They stay 100% productive. So that's from technical point of view. From program point of view, our plan is this: on the day of launch, we'll invite the IT pros to sign up and express interest through skypepreview.com. Once you land up on skypepreview.com, you will see many products. Mac Preview would be one of them. So express interest for that, and we'll take it from there. We're actually gonna be looking at customer nominations and then approving a small set of customers in the beginning.
Great.
Okay.
So, question for you.
Yep.
A couple of things you said there are really interesting. One, what if someone has already signed up but wasn't able to express their interest at that point in time? What do you recommend to those who are signed up but have not been able to check a box for the Mac?
So those who have already expressed interest, we already have a list, and we are gonna approve that list first. So
Great.
we are gonna look at first in, first out. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if they signed up last week, they couldn't, I believe, or a couple weeks ago, they weren't able to check a box yet for interest, right? They could just sign up for SkypePreview.com. Is that right, or am I have that mixed up?
Oh, so if they have signed up for the portal but they haven't signed up or expressed interest for Mac, they would go into our pipeline, and we would be looking at based on first come first serve basis. Our focus is really quality, as you guys have been mentioning. It's great to see marketing team helping us pitch the quality, because that's really super important with the Mac client. Our customers have gone through a lot of pain, so thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, we are going to look at quality signals, and based on that, we will continuously add more customers.
So to your point, just if they didn't see Mac before when they were doing the recommendation is go back to the preview portal and check the box for Mac.
Yeah.
And what that does is that actually gets you in the queue. And one of the reasons that, and I know for everybody that's on this call, they're like, hey, you know what, I need Mac. I've got to be the first to try it. But one of the things that we talk about quality, and you know, we talk about quality a lot, but part of it is we need to be able to manage that feedback engine in a controlled, and I know no one wants to hear this. Everybody wants to get into the new stuff, but the worst thing we could possibly do is get so many people using it and get so much feedback that it distracts from what we truly need to focus on.
That's right. That's right.
So absolutely.
So stick with us, go through this. If you're in the program, awesome, and we expect lots of feedback. So
that'd be great. So about that rollout, I think that you wanted to explain something about that, Kasha, a little bit more detail.
Absolutely. I would just add that our backlog till we go public is fixed. We know exactly what features we are going to build. So what would help us is quality. Based on the bugs, the feedback that we get, that will really determine how fast we can ship the product. And we don't really want duplicate bugs, so that's main reason we are going to have a controlled rollout. We will start with a small set of customers, and then on a daily basis we are going to look at quality signals. We are going to look at how many bugs are coming in, how many feedback items are coming in. Is there anything that we need to do, like do we need to pause and then fix few things, polish everything, and then expand the rollout. So it's going to be really based on what signals we get. We are going to start with a small set of customers, and then we will expand. But the goal is really to have a very broad preview. This is actually the first time we are doing a public preview so early in the development cycle.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
Okay. And then finally, you did say IT pros, so maybe we should clarify that. Like initially, how are we going to approach it versus in a couple of weeks?
Yes. So in the beginning, we actually expect that IT pros, when they sign up, they try out the build, they have the option, of course, once they get the build, they can distribute it to their power users who are comfortable running the new Mac client side by side with Link for Mac, and they know exactly which client to use when, and stay productive. Once we feel comfortable, we are again for the first time gonna launch the preview for end users, so end users can also sign up and they can get access to the build.
Right. Okay, great. All right, so the last thing, we've got a couple of questions, and I think we'll hit them right now.
I think, do we want to hit them now, or do you want to show them after the demo? Because I think some of this will actually help with the demo. And then, Kaushal, I would like you to stick around actually for afterwards, so that, because there are some technical ones in here that you might actually have more insight to specifically for us.
That sounds great.
Okay.
So we're going to cut over to demo then.
We're going to cut to demo. Are you sure? Are you ready?
Sure. Let's go.
Okay. You got your computer up and running?
Would you, yeah, do you want me to slide over?
You can slide over, and Kaushal, thank you.
We'll be back with you in a moment, Kaushal.
As you can see, what you're going to see is, I'm going to do a little narrative here for Paul, as what you're seeing is Paul is actually using our, using the Magewell device. You've seen us use this before, but what we're basically doing is we're looping through his PC back into the video feed. So he's actually a camera. So that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing that video. And Paul, I'm going to pass it off to you and do it.
That's great. Okay, guys. So we're showing you my desktop now. And like Sean said, it is important to know that we've done a couple of pretty cool, as David Letterman would have said, stupid pet tricks to make sure that we can get my Mac video showing on this screen. So you may see some lag in the screen. We're also not going to do audio for this, only because it's just silly to have a meeting within the meeting, and then we're just going to cause audio feedback if we do that. So we'll not use audio today, but we have another colleague, Praveen, who is anxiously awaiting for us to join the meeting. So let's get rolling. So here's the Mac client, and this is the way it's going to look at the first drop. So that's really important. Here's how it's going to look at the first drop.
Why does it look like this, Paul?
Because we're only focused on meetings.
Excellent. So this is just a meetings view, right?
That's right. And so this is a brand new feature that the Mac folks have never had before. Direct connection to your Exchange calendar where you can actually see your meetings listed. So I can see today and tomorrow, and we have the Contoso roadmap review, so I can highlight that. And when I highlight that, because that meeting has Skype coordinates, Sean, I'm able to actually join it.
Wait. So that they're getting the parity feature to be able to join a meeting directly from a client?
Word. Yep, the P-word parity. So there's a lot of new features you're going to see here. And so it's really great. So I'm showing you the calendar, but you'll notice, even though we told you we have meetings only, there's some other icons on the side. That's to help people who don't watch this video understand what's happening. If you were to click on this, you'll see that we'll just put up a little holder text and let you know exactly what's going on with the client. And so people will understand whether or not we're in preview and then what functionality is available to them. And if I click the other icons, you see it's the exact same text. So just a placeholder to let you know exactly what we're planning. So going back to the meeting functionality, let me just go ahead and highlight that. And now I can go ahead and actually join that meeting, and hopefully Praveen is hanging out in the meeting. Great.
And so Praveen also is, just to let everybody know, Praveen is dual tasking here. He's doing this. He's also managing our Q&A. We've got a lot of questions out there, which we will totally address at the end. So go ahead.
That's right. And so what I've done is I just maximized my client. And apparently I did not get the Hudson Hawk hat-wearing memo from everybody today, because everybody seems to be wearing hats. I can't figure out what the heck is going on. So, but that's great. We've got Praveen, and he is already shared his video. And again, we won't do audio, but he's already shared his video. Check it out. It's full screen. That is awesome. And in fact, if I very carefully here, don't want the Windows guys to come get me. In fact, this is really quite modern and different than the Windows client, and shows our commitment to the clients get the latest features. And in fact, I might even be so cheeky as to say, hey, Windows client, you got a little catching up to do now, because the Mac client is coming with these features, and it's great.
Well, so wait a second. You're saying it has not only full screen video, but that it's also less Chrome, less space, better video. Wow. So you mean I don't have to lock a spotlight?
Yeah, you may not even have to do the lock spotlight anymore, which is a feature in Windows to kind of create this experience. This just brings it up. We just realized. And here's a fun little fact, which is just silly but fun. So they did color testing during the research phase. folks working with Kaushal, the gentleman you just met, actually did that. And I heard this great story from them, which was around, hey, the Windows client is blue, but what we discovered was when we use black, people associate that with the movies, with cinema. And so we literally scored higher by presenting the edges, if you see around the edges of this video, in black, which is kind of
really
cool. Yeah.
So it's that whole conceptual 16:9 black bar experience that you're used to.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've got some subconscious and some learnings. That's interesting.
We've got everyone who's ever gone to a movie. We've been trained by those folks to have a certain perceptual experience for video. So
yeah,
it's really awesome. Okay, great. So what we can do now is, and this is probably the moment you've all been waiting for, you probably could throw away the other 26 minutes just to see this. I believe Praveen is ready to share his desktop with me. So this is great. So what we're going to see happen, and give it a little bit of time, is that the desktop will be shared, and we'll be able to see his content. Now, I know one of the questions, and I'll answer it right now, is are we going to essentially have two-way sharing? And the answer is yes. We will have two-way sharing based on our quality feedback. So at the very minimal, we'll make sure that you can see other people's desktops, and if in drop one it's ready, we will have the sharing go out as well.
So you mean the ability for me to control your side?
Well, remote control, we can ask Kaushal about. I don't know if that's going to actually be in there. I think it's going to be view sharing. So it looks like we're not getting, as always, every demo will.
Yeah, we're praying to the demo gods.
We're praying to the demo gods to see if we can get it, but it looks like it's not coming through. And I can actually see Praveen's desktop, and it looks like he is sharing it. But trust me, even though my demo is giving me a little bit of trouble, we actually will have that sharing capability. Let me move on, and I'll show you a couple other items, right? And so you can see there's a chat window at the ear, so I can just say, hello, Praveen, and he can come back. Oh, looks like it may be trying to fight its way through right now. Let's see how it does.
Excellent. Hey, there we go. Wait a second. So you're in a meeting receiving content.
That's right. And in fact, it's a Windows. Praveen's on a Windows machine, so he's actually sharing his desktop from that side, and I'm actually seeing that content.
Wow. And you've got full IM in meeting.
And I've got the IM in meeting as well, so I can go ahead and just say hello to Praveen on the side there, and Praveen can hopefully come back and type a message in. And if I wanted to, I can actually even reach in and go ahead and, for instance, click this, and I get the people pane, and we can see who's in the meeting, and then we could add more people if it was my meeting, for instance. So really, there's a lot of functionality here for people to test and experiment. And there's Praveen, and of course, I'm being pointed out the nice hat. So everybody's got their hats on. It must have been Hat Friday here at Microsoft. So that really is the demo in a nutshell. There's a couple other things that will be coming. We'll likely have support for Meet Now. For those of you who are familiar with that, that's a way to create a meeting right off the top of the bat. So
okay, right. You want to come back in, and we'll hop back into the video and address some of the questions here. So hey, Paul. Oh, backwards. I see that you found your hat.
You know, there's nothing worse than working at a company with intense social pressure, and this is what's happened. I've been forced to wear a hat by everyone else, so now it looks like a Hudson Hawk convention here, a bunch of fat old white guys wearing silly hats. So,
anyways, I wouldn't say necessarily that, but hey, you know, I like that. Hey, so let's kind of recap real quick, and then we'll go handle some of these questions. So, we've got preview coming real soon now. RSN. Which I know we have a question of when is that. It is real soon now. We will release it when we feel quality is there, right?
Right.
We're not going to go and put something out that's half-baked, because that's not going to give you and your users any confidence in what we're delivering. On the other element to this, we're then going to build those drops. So think of it as stacking stones or bricks, as we talked about here, because our point to this is we want to not only give people the ability to do side-by-side, get us that true feedback on the meetings and media elements, because that's really key, right? We get the quality of experience, and then from there we do the build. And when we feel that quality is at that part, we would go general availability. So, and we're looking after we do them between 4 and 6 weeks based on quality gates, right? Between each one of those drops. So, so that gives you an opportunity as our customer to give us that feedback. And we do know one of the things out there is that not everybody can see the Mac preview on skypeforbusiness.com yet, right?
That's right.
So keep going back, make sure you're doing that. So to that, anything else that I missed?
I think if we could pull Kaushal back in for a second.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and ask him just one quick question.
Sure.
We're going to have desktop sharing. Do we anticipate being able to actually remotely control desktops, or is it only going to be viewing either way?
So the remote control from Mac user point of view has been a very high feature ask from our customers. That is not planned till RTM. It will be in one of the drops right after RTM. The good news is we will have monthly drops after we go public, and those drops will not be just bug fixes, but actually net new features as well.
Oh, that's exciting.
Excellent.
So we're committed to keeping the Mac client moving forward as fast as it can.
Excellent.
We did get asked about parity. Let me just address that one again. So we will make the best choices we can for the Mac client. We will aggressively make sure features get in there. Parity is obviously can mean a lot of things. There's a lot of features in the Windows client. So as we move forward, we will let you know. I can almost guarantee you, I just want to be very straightforward. At RTM, for some of you, there will probably be your most favorite long tail feature will not be in the client at that point. But as Kaushal said, we'll be updating it on a regular basis. Expect us to take this very seriously and to make sure that we get the best quality and the best possible experience out there for our Mac users.
Yeah, and to talk to that, sorry, Paul, I'm going to switch back over. To talk to that, one of the things that that I want to make sure that people understand is that when we do bring those features out, because we're going to be doing releases with these updates, that your feedback into our communities is very, like, I know we were joking around with hats and things, but it is the Mac client and the amount of effort and energy and thought that goes into from our side on it is probably one of the highest from the client perspective, I'd say, in a long time. So we might kid and joke around, but it is very important for you to understand we take the Mac client seriously, and we do listen to the community quite vividly. So
yeah. All right. Well, great.
So a couple other questions. Actually, Kaushal, this one would probably be for you unless you've got it, which is, will UCS work with the new client?
UCS, no, that's actually not planned till RTM.
Till RTM. Okay. So it is planned for the new client, but it's not planned till RTM.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
As mentioned earlier, we have a fixed backlog, and we have to get to the right quality for that backlog.
Excellent. Any of the other ones that we want to address?
QoS plans for the client, I believe that's post RTM. Am I right about that, Kaushal?
So QoS, it's in between. We are trying to get it before RTM. We have heard again loud and clear about QoS packet marking. There were some dependencies on Mac OS that delayed it, but we are trying to get it before RTM.
Right.
Excellent. We got a question here actually around codecs. Actually, I'm assuming it'll be using Silk. Am I correct in?
That's correct.
That's correct. So we're going to be at the most modern set of codecs we have available for our clients, and we will have those embedded into the actual client itself. And this one's a question for Sean. What headsets are we wearing, Sean?
Actually, so somebody has asked for the headsets, but my question that I've got is, how is the audio quality? Kaushal, how's the audio quality? Is it okay?
It's perfect for me. Yep.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done is we're actually using the Savi 740 headsets, and what happens is we can actually subscribe the second headset into the same cradle. So we only have one USB interface, but the headset allows us to drop it in. So it's a feature that was used. They did them a lot for call centers because I could walk up as a supervisor, drop in, and be able to have that same conversation being paired, because you and I are on the same channel to the computer. So
all right, I think we got one question left I'd like to handle, and then we should probably wrap this bad boy up. But and I was shocked that it took you 35 minutes, audience, to ask this question. But we got asked about persistent chat again. And it's always an interesting question again and again. And if you're not on the Yammer forum, you should be going out there, because that's where we give the latest on that. So right now, where we stand with persistent chat is that on the Windows client, it's currently in maintenance mode. They are continuing to look at it. And by maintenance mode, just so everybody understands what I mean, it's not being removed, but enhancements are confined to security or severe bug fixes.
Sustain.
Yeah, it's actually sustained, correct.
Yeah.
So for the Mac client, at this point, we are looking at what persistent chat might mean. It could mean a better and improved groups experience versus actually adding persistent chat to the client. So that still is under advisement, and stay with us as we go through the further stuff, and we'll understand exactly where we'll be at with all these features. Obviously, there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sean.
Excellent. Well, I think with that one, I think it's probably time to wrap up.
Yep.
One of the things that I do want to say is, so it is, for those that aren't on there, it's the under Yammer.com, it's the Skype IT Pro community. It's part of the Office 365 network group. Please join up. We will I'll get an update on Twitter, so people can join there as well in the next couple of days. We will get this up on the web. One of the things for people to remember is this is recorded. It will be available after the fact.
Yeah.
So send it on to your colleagues, your friends, whatever. Some call outs to the people that have been very vocal in Yammer. We really appreciate your feedback. And with that said, I think we're going to sign off and say thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks.